Hi, welcome. On this video, I'd like to discuss the issue of figuring out what the real problem is in the dog training world, the process itself, by way of how certain trainers are attempting to frame it up. Now, here's the thing to understand. Even years ago, when I was a police dog, handler and trainer, and I was working with what's defined as working dogs, I was in a entirely different world. The dogs that I personally, handled, even incorporating a little bit of the learning-based narrative into training, as well as the people that I associate with or worked around, like-minded people. In my mind, as I saw that, well, things just made sense. I didn't really have a sense of how big the problem was in the public realm, with attempting to kind of frame everything up as to what's really going on. In fact, when I switched over and began to, transition into helping more people in the public, part of things, I started getting a sense of just how bad things really were. In fact, to come to a point of actually developing the system that I currently use, or this relational approach, it required a really intensive, kind of auditing process of really breaking everything down to really be able to look at everything through a different lens, so to speak. To be able to, go further through just beyond just the appearance of things, even with breaking down certain things like where do devices fit? What's the context of physical force? This dominance issue everyone talks about. What's that? But being able to package that up in such a way to be able to define it properly, relationally. Okay, be able to really step back from it and package it up. Now, here's the problem with what's happening right now. You'll see a lot of these trainers, some of them coming from different aspects, trying to define what's happening in the public realm, but not really being able to, to do it, having a sense there's a problem again, but not being able to really break this stuff down to say, hold on here a second, what is the real problem here? What's the dog training process? What does it represent? What's the methodology itself, the specifics of it? What role does that play? Even the issue about corrections and all those different things, devices, where do those fit? What role do those play? I mean, how does this stuff all fit together? And the problem is that people that are trying to do this haven't really gone through this type of process, haven't really switched over, so to speak, to look at all angles of this, even getting really up close and personal with certain concepts such as counter conditioning and different aspects of the learning narrative, to really examine it closely to say, okay, what is really happening here just beyond this position-based narrative via response, to even have a sense of, okay, the motives of dogs. It comes through this intensive auditing process. It doesn't come through settling. I mean, part of the problem here is so many trainers have just dovetailed into a ready-made ideology. That's really one of the biggest problems is people have just subscribed to a certain thing and pivoted off certain devices and haven't actually stripped everything down to bare bones. Actually haven't, looked at how things fit and the role, identifying the critical role that the person plays in the process itself relationally, defining how that connection actually works, how this, how it comes together to create change through the process, even using certain motivating agents to paint a picture. What's that about? Is it really just about that? Asking all those questions. And this system has done that. Okay, so this system itself was developed from asking the tough questions, from breaking it down. So anyway, I just want to put it out there that when I talk about certain aspects of what the problem is, even talking about physical force and all these things that are totally misrepresented, and getting a sense of that, it comes from that type of intensive self-audit. You have to be able to take everything and break it apart, and then put it back together again, so to speak, to get a clear understanding as to what the process is and how to achieve the desired result. There's a basic formula I follow. There's a sequencing that I follow. And so when you see my method, how it works, it holds true. The integrity of it holds true to what it is. It's understanding how that formula works so that dog owners can be successful. So I just want to put it out there that when I talk about certain things, I understand what's happening right now in the dog training world. I break the stuff down. You hear other trainers that they're talking about. I don't mention names, but it's just so confusing. They may have a sense of that there's a problem, but the real problem is they're working within that same narrative. I am not I don't approach training as some sort of learning-based exercise for a reason, because I figured out that part of it. I understand the problems with working within that narrative. I understand how this stuff packages up. The process itself has to be identified and approached for what it is. That is critical. If you're not doing that, you're gonna have problems, and then there's so much confusion in that. So you have to separate from that. You have to step back far enough from it to be able to understand what's really going on. So thanks for watching.